Barbados Prime Minister Mayor Mottley told yesterday's closing press conference of the CARICOM Heads of Government Summit that the heads decided to fast-track a number of critical issues.
The last few years have been difficult, and we've moved from crisis management to crisis management to crisis management. But we're at a stage now where we have to resume our normal economic growth trajectory. And that means confronting the issue that finance is oxygen, and that the framework for the single market and single economy has to be put up and center at the front burner again.
There is a CARICOM development fund that needed a contribution cycle. There is now a funding arrangement in place for the next few years.
Was that even as we replenish this fund, it is not going to be enough. And what faces our region now is the reality that we are both trying to build resilience through adaptation, and those adaptation of systems and adaptation of infrastructure to better face the climate crisis that is already bedeviling the region, both in terms of hurricanes and floods, but also in terms of droughts and sargassum seaweed, that we need to be able to have a clear platform for access for funding for adaptation.
The question of sustainable growth was one of the focuses.
Was that even as we replenish this fund, it is not going to be enough. And what faces our region now is the reality that we are both trying to build resilience through adaptation, and those adaptation of systems and adaptation of infrastructure to better face the climate crisis that is already bedeviling the region, both in terms of hurricanes and floods, but also in terms of droughts and sargassum seaweed, that we need to be able to have a clear platform for access for funding for adaptation. But at the same time, in the same way that we say we cannot choose between people and planet, we need to have a pathway to be able to secure sustainable growth, fair and equitable growth for our people. And therefore, we determined that we will do two things. One, separate from the contribution cycle that we've agreed to for all member states for the CARICOM Development Fund, we are going to agree that we need to establish, or we've agreed, that we need to establish a working group on finance for Caribbean development, and this will be chaired by Vice President Bart Jagdeo, and will work with me as lead Prime Minister for CARICOM Single Market and Single Economy.
This committee will come up with a report within 4 months. There is the Barbados initiative known as the Green Climate Fund. There is a Blue-Green Investment Bank.
And we now have commitments from both the government of Guyana and the government of Bahamas, as well as USAID, that we will work to capitalize that fund. We have commitments of 15 million US from the GCF. We have the same amount from Barbados, the same from Guyana, I believe the same from Bahamas.
There is also commitment from Latin American Development Bank.
It is our hope that we can reach at least 100 million US dollars in seed capital. Barbados has the draft bill for the institution, and we hope to operationalize this institution as a matter of urgency to service the needs of the Caribbean community with respect to resilience and adaptation.
The end result is that this initiative will save $7 in losses for every dollar spent, according to Ms. Mottley.